Well, hello everyone. This is take two. So, I'm Joanna. I'm the founder of Wounds to Scars, and I'm creator of this community, administrator of this community rather. So, this is take two: the benefits of mental health and exercise. I've been doing Red January. I started Red January yesterday on the 1st of January, and today's day two. And I'm encouraging everybody in the group to do movement, to do something that makes you move so your muscles can relax, so your body can be at ease, and it can help in the process of healing. Now, people who speak to me know that if they call me and say, Joanna, this is happening, I'll say go for a walk, or deep breathe and do these things. So I'm going to talk about why this is important and how it helps. Thank you for joining. But first, I'm going to talk. Okay, so this is going to be in two parts. Hey, Marcy, this is going to be in two parts. One, I'm talking to you who are healing, and two, I'm talking to those who are supporting those who are healing. And I specifically want to speak to those who are supporting those who are healing, because I know sometimes when we think things takes a little bit longer than we think it should take, then we are disheartened, and we kind of join the ranks of people who are sometimes abusive in their language, thoughtless, no sympathy, no empathy. Hey, Tam. Hey, Richard. So I'm talking to two people, really. And for those of us here who is in this community who have struggled with any form of mental health, anything, whether it's stress, difficulty managing stress, whether it's difficulty managing moods, whether it's anxiety, whether it's PTSD, whether it's complex PTSD, whatever it is, I'm speaking to you, and I'm also speaking to those who are supporting family members and friends who may have had this, who may be going through something. Right. So here are some of the. I want to talk first about the symptoms of mental health and some of the myths that are out there, because we need to really address them. Now, mental health is a taboo subject. Nobody wants to talk about it. And in certain communities, it's harder to speak about than other communities. I'm going to address some of those in this video. Okay, please put your questions below if you have any in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer. Okay, so number one is specific symptoms may not be visible to the untrained eye. So it might be difficult to relate what someone else is going through. May be difficult to relate to what someone else is going through. So be patient. Get educated so that you can help appropriately. So say, for example, somebody with depression or, anxiety or any one of these other mental health problems, it may not be visible. It's not as if somebody who broke their leg or arm or any other physical is stressful already and it's day two in 2020. It may be different. Okay, so you can't see the illness. It doesn't mean that it's not there. And people with depression are different and unique. And so one person may demonstrate certain attributes, another person might demonstrate a certain things. One person might be high functioning and another person may not be able to function when they're going through a crisis. So it's really important to get educated so that you can appropriately administer care, or that so you can appropriately show support for the person. Also, for those who are suffering with depression or any kind of mental health, it's really important that you know that too, that you may be comparing yourself to other people too, but you're different and you're unique, and that difference and uniqueness means that your symptoms might manifest themselves in different ways. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, and I really have to stress number two because I hear it a lot. I hear it from supporters and I hear it from people who are experiencing mental health. Mental health is not a weakness, and it's not a character defect. I have to say it. Mental health is caused by a variety of things. It can be biological, it can be environmental, it can be the cumulative effect of life, the cumulative effect of things stacking on top of each other. And what happens is a breakdown. What happens is a trip into just anything. Mental health sometimes is caused by repressed trauma, unprocessed pain. It can be genetic. There just can be a wide range of reasons why people experience mental health. Okay, the woman who is fleeing violence might have depression. The woman who survived childhood trauma or the man who survived childhood trauma may have depression. Okay, so it's so different for everyone. So it's not a weakness and it's not a character defect. And I want you, especially you who is experiencing this, you who have to cry sometimes, you who have to take days off work, or you who have to maybe sometimes isolate yourself from the crowd, you who maybe have to get treatment in forms that people that are around you may not approve. You may have to go on medication. You may have to get therapy. You may have to do medication and therapy for longer than the people that are around you feel you should have it. It's not a weakness and it's not a character defect. And for those of us who are in the Christian community, it's not sin either. I really want you to hear that, because we really cause people to suffer longer than they have to when we have this kind of narrative. Number 3 is really important. People who are Christians shouldn't have mental health. Now, this one's a pet peeve of mine. Should people who are Christians break their legs? Should they have headaches? Should they have stomach pains? Should they go to work, eat, breathe? All of those kind of stuff. I mean, it's so unrealistic that we're going to expect that we live in a world of sin, yet the people in this world of sin is not going to be affected by this consequence of sin. That's what it is. I know we're more comfortable with physical illness than we are with mental illnesses or mental health. People with mental health problems, we're more comfortable with diabetes than we are with depression. But people who are Christians are people. Life happens to us too. You know what I talk about, the cumulative effect of life? It happens to us too. It happens, the biological factors happen to us too. The environmental factors happen to us too. We're not exempt. Okay? So if you know somebody who is a Christian and they have depression and anxiety, get yourself educated in how you can support them. And number 4, only some people get affected by mental health. Now, of course, you know what the answer to that is by now, because you stayed here for the first 3. There's so many things that mental health is no respect of persons. No respect of persons. Now, I must say that there's sometimes cultural differences that impacts how we interpret mental health. But anyone is susceptible. Note that I said there are cultural differences that might vary in how we interpret what is depression, what is anxiety, what is the effects of trauma, the woman with the breakdown, how is she viewed, the man with anxiety, the man with PTSD, how he's viewed. Sometimes we view him through cultural lenses, and we view him sometimes through spiritual lenses, religious lenses. Okay. And sometimes, because that's the narrative, the person who is experiencing this issue also view themselves through those lenses too. And some cultures, and I'm going to talk about our culture, we take longer to get treatment. And because people from ethnic minority communities take longer to get treatment, maybe, and it could be complex, I'm sure it's complex, it's a variety of reasons. Awareness and treatment are less in some communities. And so the outcomes for people in those communities might be different to people in other communities because of how we view mental health. And I'm doing this because of Red January. Red January, I waited all year to sign up for it because it literally kept somebody alive last year. And when I saw how having a purpose, having something to get out the house for, having something to get out of bed for, when I saw the effects of that, I waited. It was too late for me to sign up. And I waited all year to sign up to participate because I believe in this work. I see the effects of it. I saw what it did in keeping somebody alive. It was therapy and Red January, which is, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And number 5, people, I mean, these, I can do whole workshops on each of these. And if you ever come when I'm in one of my presentations, You probably hear me talk about these too, and when I go and speak, I really do address these because they're really important, especially the religious one and the cultural one. Now, people with mental health can't just snap out of it. And sometimes they're depressed, not just sad. There's a difference. There are levels to sadness when you're depressed. Sometimes they're depressed, not just sad, and they can't always just snap themselves out of it. Sometimes they may never be able to snap out of it. They can't just let the past go or just do this and that. Here's the thing. Why I want to talk about the brain, and I talk about this sometimes. When somebody is in a crisis, for example, or when the depression is bad, or when the anxiety is heightened, or when the cumulative effect of life is happening, snapping out of it is impossible, because what you're asking somebody to do is a cognitive process. You're asking them to think, to reason, to be logical, to make decisions, and they can't do it when they're in a crisis. It's the emotional side of the brain that is active. And so what they need is you to say, let's go for a walk. Let's do some deep breathing, do deep muscle relaxation with them, and be persevering by their side, because that's what they need, as opposed to you getting upset and telling them to snap out of it. Why can't you let the past be the past? Keep the past in the past. Just do this, just do that. They can't just do any of what you're suggesting. So there's no point getting upset and angry, write people off, label people, call them names. None of those things work, and it doesn't help. It actually compounds the problem. Okay? Now, depression cannot be willed away. There's no point saying cheer up or shake it off, pray it away. Depression can be caused by a variety of things, as we talked about, the repressed trauma and all that kind of stuff, the biological factors, the cumulative effect of life, the genetic factors, and a host of other different things. Okay? Now, treatment varies for people with depression. And this is where I speak to people with depression. You will know if you have depression or not. You will know the experience of the persistent low moods and what that feels like. Or some people are diagnosed. Some people choose not to use medication. That you can choose to do what you choose to do. But here is what I say to people. You have to do something. If you have depression, you have to do something. Depression will lie to you. It does lie to you. And it will tell you things about yourself that's not true. Tell you things about life that's not true. So you have to do something. You have to do a form of treatment. It's going to either be medication, therapy, or lifestyle choices that you make. Dr. Neil Nedley does an amazing depression recovery program. It's a residential program that you go where he is in California and you do the program there. Or there might be people around. I am trained in depression recovery. There might be people around who are trained, who can help you, but you have to do something. You can't have depression and do nothing. You cannot pray it away. The same way, if you have any kind of physical illness, you're not going to stay home and pray only. You have to make a choice about what you do. Sometimes it's going to be medication and therapy. Sometimes it's medication alone. You might choose that. Sometimes it's therapy and lifestyle. Sometimes it's lifestyle, but it has to be something. It has to be one or the other. You cannot ignore it, will it away, hope it will go away, read it away, pray it away, do nothing away. You have to do something. Okay, so with depression, as I said, it might be medication, therapy, support groups, prayer, and I'm an advocate for support groups. I love groups because groups are amazing, and that's why we get such good outcomes with our retreats, because groups are amazing for helping people to heal and providing a support system for people. Ongoing support system. Now, treatment outcomes vary for people. Everyone's different, so treatment needs, your treatment need will be might be my treatment need. Okay, so your treatment need is different. It's really important that you know and understand your needs and the decisions that you're going to make, of course, in consultation with professionals that are trained, that know how to manage, so they can help you along with your value system, you know. And I think maybe that's why some people are afraid of getting help, because they're afraid that their value system won't be considered. So, you know, let the person know who you're going to be working with, what your values are, and how you feel about certain things, and work with them in coming together to put a plan in place that is going to be helpful to you. But you have to do something. If you have a family member who you're encouraging to not do anything, I'm going to ask you to get educated around mental health so you can help them to work a plan. You need a plan that's going to be effective. Doing nothing can't be an option. Okay, now where are we? Number 5, number 6? Don't remember, I lost track. Mental health is not a real issue. It's not real because you can't see it. There's no physical effects of it. Can't see it. Mental health is as real as any physical illness, as diabetes, as hypertension, as just the back pain, the headache. Sometimes the depression may cause the back pain and the headache. Sometimes it's a chicken and egg situation. Which one came first, you know? So sometimes somebody with persistent pain, it might be connected to a mental health problem that is undiagnosed and untreated. The body sympathizes with the mind and the mind with the body, okay? So if you know somebody with headache, persistent headache, it may be that they need to go see their GP for an assessment around some kind of mental health problem. Persistent back pain, you know, is there repressed trauma? Sometimes stress can cause your muscles to lock in, and that can cause physical illnesses. But it's not the muscle locked in that you treat the stress and the effects of the stress, and the muscles will relax. And sometimes you have to do both. I'm going to get somebody who is a physiotherapist to come and to do a training throughout January, and we're going to talk about the effects of the brain and the body, and how we use relaxation, other relaxation techniques. Okay. Now, people with mental health never get better. That's an assumption. For some people, as I said, treatment may be longer than for others, because everybody's treatment needs are so different. But with help, many symptoms can go away. Many symptoms can go away with help. Now, when I used to work in addictions, when I had somebody who was drinking for 10, 20 years, and, you know, with help, they stopped drinking for 2 weeks, they think they were okay, so they stop coming to treatment. They start visiting the pub again because they feel like they were strong enough to order an orange juice, and they find out that they relapse and they come back into treatment 6 weeks later. I'm going to say something similar to that. Treatment is different for everybody. And because you're feeling okay, it might not mean that everything is gone, that you can kind of go back to life as normal. The relief is there. It's the result of sticking with the treatment plan. So don't stop doing what you're doing because you're feeling better. Don't stop it. Keep going, okay? So I wanted to kind of clear up some of those things around mental health. I know the list of myths are long. They're cultural myths, they're religious myths, they're just myths everywhere around mental health. But, you know, those are the ones I wanted to touch on. As I said, I can do a workshop all evening on each individual one. Now, the benefits of exercise. Why am I doing Red January? As I said, I know it kept somebody alive last year, and I know that's going to keep other people alive this year too. And why I want to talk to you about mental health and the benefits of exercise, and why you need to do it, and why you need to help somebody else to do it. I don't want you to send people to do it. I don't want you to call your cousin with depression and say, you know, do exercise. I want you to, if you live near enough, go with your cousin with depression for a walk. Do you understand? Go with your sister with bipolar, or your brother with whatever. Go with them. Or if you have it and you want to do movement, but you want somebody to help you, I wish that, you know, there are people in your life who can support you. If we live near, we could go together. I know as a community, there are many people in this community who are doing the exercise, and we're commenting in the group and stuff like that, and we're supporting each other virtually. So we will be your virtual support system. But if you have somebody near you who can go with you, I'd recommend that you do that. Okay, so exercise such as walking, jogging, swimming, cycling for at least 3 times 30 minutes 3 times a week is really beneficial. Exercise increases serotonin levels in the brain. Now, let me say this first. After reviewing all the studies published since 1981 on exercise on mental health, Canadian researchers found that whether it's strength-bearing training or running, walking, or any other form of aerobic exercise, it helps to alleviate mild to moderate depression. Mild to moderate depression. That's how amazing exercise is, and that's based on research. Okay, so it increases serotonin levels in the brain. It's as good as medicine in reducing depression, as we said, mild to moderate depression. It alleviates symptoms of anxiety. It helps with substance use disorders and ADHD. It can help to treat depression, and sometimes it's even better than counseling in some cases. Some people may not need counseling. They may just need to be active regularly. Of course, exercise with other things, and throughout this month we're going to talk about some of those other things. Okay, exercise also helps to reduce tension, anger, and fatigue. Let me address each one individually. Exercise helps in reducing tension. So sometimes, if you're like me, I feel tension around here in my shoulders and down my back. And if I just stop and stretch, or if I go for a walk, that tension will begin to release. Okay, because I know how to stretch my shoulders and stuff like that. I know how to do deep muscle relaxation. Exercise helps to release anger. You try to go running and be angry at the same time. Or take your bike, cycle down the country lane and be angry still. It's just not possible. So if you're angry, one amazing thing to do is to just go for a walk, deep breathe. I'm going to talk about the benefits of deep breathing in a minute. And do something like that that relaxes and soothes and calms the sympathetic system. It calms the emotional side of the brain. And it gives you access then to the frontal lobe, where you can think, where you can reason, where you can look at your belief system around your anger, and you can realize that, okay, so that thought was irrational, and that one was irrational, and that one was irrational. Maybe this is what they mean. But we can only do that when we have access to the frontal lobe. If you don't have access to the frontal lobe, then you won't be able to do that. Okay? And let me just say this. When I teach the autonomic nervous system and healing, none of us have access to the frontal lobe all the time. Think about it. The last time you were in an argument, think about it. Did you say some things that you regret? Of course you did. The last time you felt afraid. The last time you felt frustrated. The last time you were annoyed or in shame or feel guilty. Just think, none of us have access to our, at the top of the ladder all the time, that when we complete access to the frontal lobe, and we never have to deep breathe, we never have to get help, we never have to think about what we do. None of us. Another thing that exercise does is relieve the symptoms of fatigue. Now, I'm a witness for this one, fatigue. Because sometimes I struggle with fatigue. And when fatigue is coming on, I always know that it's several things. It's either I'm tired. That means there's a cumulative effect of working too many hours, not enough sleep, not enough water, not enough exercise, and I'm feeling fatigue, or my iron is low. It's one of those two things. Now, sometimes when I'm feeling fatigued, the last thing I want to do is go for a walk, because of course I'm really tired and I'm fatigued, and my bone and my body is saying, sit, don't move, you're tired, so you need to rest. But when I make myself get up, go outside, deep breathe, go for a walk, something amazing happens. I never come back feeling fatigue. So I'll be and if you've experienced fatigue, you'll understand what it feels like. Sometimes the fatigue is so great, you just wonder, am I ever, I can't put one foot in front of the other. I just need to go to bed and not move. And I'll start walking, and the more I walk, the better I feel. So I'll do my 2-mile walk. There's an easy 2-mile walk here. It takes me, on a good day, half an hour. If I'm not so good, 45 minutes. And when I get back home, I am never fatigued. I'm always full of energy, and I'm always feeling better. I'm refreshed. So exercise helps to do those things. Now, I want to talk about deep breathing as well. Deep breathing helps to relax the muscle. And if you're exercising, you're going to need to learn how to deep breathe. It helps to relax your muscle, to soothe you. So think about it. If you're stressed and you're tense and you deep breathe, your muscles will begin to relax because you're letting oxygen into your lungs. Studies show that deep breathing lower oxygen levels and help with mood disorders. Okay, just deep breathing. Of course, not deep breathing on its own, but it does help. It helps with impaired muscle function, impairs metabolic function, and leads to exercise intolerance when we don't deep breathe. Some of us, our breathing is shallow. So we don't need to learn how to deep breathe from when we inhale, how our stomach expand and exhale. Inhale, so your stomach expand and exhale. And I'm having my hand on my chest because when I'm teaching it to clients, that's what I do. Put your right hand on your chest and your left on your tummy. And when you inhale, your stomach expand and then you exhale. Okay? So that's what I want to talk about, the benefits of exercise and some myths around mental health. As I said, I'm going to be here all through January. Not every day, of course. Every day I'm going to post my Red January movement for that day. But I'm going to come back throughout January and do some more on the benefits of different things and mental health and help us to heal. Because healing is not a cognitive process only, as I said, it's a holistic thing. Because the mind and the body sympathizes. And sometimes depression might mean healing the nervous system or the gut, or attending to the gut. And how do you attend to the gut? What are the things that you do to look after your gut so that you can have good healthy system? What do we need to put into our bodies to make sure our system is good and healthy and run and function well? So, you know, in this community, as the Bible said, we wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers. And so I want to give you the tools to be able to prosper. If you're supporting somebody with mental health and sometimes you get frustrated, sometimes your sympathetic level is low, you're just running out of empathy, I want to encourage you to get support where you can so you can be there for the long term, because they need you. They really can't do it without you. And if you give up on them, then they might give up on themselves. And we really want them to be around. So get support for yourself so you can support for the long term. I know charities like Mind support family members as well as the person suffering. So consider contacting your local Mind and getting some support so you can appropriately support the person who is struggling. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, I can't see any questions, but I'm so glad that you stick around with me for the long term. And I'll see you tomorrow when I post my Red January movement. I hope if you haven't started moving yet, please start. It's not too late, never too late. And I'll see you soon.